ladies and gentlemen, we're joined today by none other than Jason Bent.
Hi, everyone.
Wow.
The real reason everybody came to the podcast, not this hack that we have on tonight.
No, we're just kidding. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have the special honor of welcoming Erik Curtis onto the podcast tonight.
I think we got it with hack and one. I think we can wrap it up.
That's it. Yep. Thanks, everybody. See you next week.
Yeah. World's fastest podcast.
It's a speed cast. That's what we call it.
Yeah, it's about click through, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. It's sure. we got the hook. Now we got to do the call to action, and then we're done.
That's it.
Yep. I mean, think about it. If the podcast only lasted for 10 seconds, we'd probably have 100% retention rate for that episode.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
Look at these numbers, Chad. Look at them.
Yeah. Hey, I want to just say possibly we're supposed to get some bad weather. So there is a possibility that my internet and everything could go to crap. So if it does, I apologize. And really, that's all just an excuse because I don't want to listen to anything Erik has to say.
That's exactly what I was about to say, man. I get on the podcast once. I'm here for 90 seconds. You're like, guys, it's internet connection.
Yeah.
It's breaking up.
Say just internet's going.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Jason, you've probably had the most stressful week out of all of us. We'll let you go first on what you've been up to.
Moving stuff. We painted the whole first floor of the new house, and even Sedge was nice enough to come over and help do the one thing that I hate doing, and that's cutting everything in, but he does a really good job at it. But we got way more done than I thought. I didn't think we got 2 coats of primer and a good coat of the paint. So, and it looks fine. Like I'm not going to put a 4th coat.
Because of forced child labor. That's why.
Right. I have the neighbor kids coming over, and I'm going to pay them in fruit snacks. But so, yeah, that's good. Friday, I'm going to go. The garage door stuff was supposed to get done this coming Friday. And I just got told that that's probably not going to happen because the guy that does it got injured on the job a few days ago. So they're going to have to reschedule. But this week, I mean, I really haven't done much this week. It's funny. Over the past 24 hours, I've received 3 messages from people on Instagram asking me where I've been. Am I okay? And Mike Leiden was one of them. And Gary, he was another. Because I haven't been doing any stories this week because I just haven't had the time. I go to work, I come home, and I'm with Leo and we do dinner, and we're trying to get whatever little things we can get packed. And yeah, so it's good. We got a lot done at the new house, but I still am not 100% certain on what I'm going to do for the drywall and all that stuff yet. And I'm really starting to get worried because it's kind of getting to crunch time now, but
for the shop.
I have a pretty good idea of what I'm going to do. I've gone back and forth a couple of times, but short version is I had a guy come out to do an estimate. The estimate was okay until he basically gave me a price to do double layer 5/8 everywhere. So adding another sheet of 5/8 to existing and then adding double to anywhere where there was not. And he was going to use green glue in between because that's what I asked him to do. I'm not going to change out any insulation because the sound breaking abilities from the hours, I'm dead serious. I have not researched anything so much in years that I have about soundproofing and what the best course of action is and what is the best bang for my buck.
That's been pretty evident with your woodworking skills over the last couple of years. So
yeah. I'm sorry, I thought there's something behind me. So
I don't know if you knew this, but that's a silver play button, Erik, behind his head.
Yeah, hold on. I want to talk about that here just a second.
Silver play button.
So the green glue stuff, right? The green glue is very expensive, but apparently it's very effective. And you'll see mixed things online. There's people that are like, oh, it's ridiculous, blah, 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 whatever. Did a ton of research. And the more research I did, the more I found conflicting information. So it just led me back to, I'm going to go with my gut and what tells me based on the research that I've done. The problem was that his quote didn't include the green glue. So he's like, we'll bring everything, we'll install it, we'll do 2 coats, we'll do all this stuff, we'll be in and out in a couple of days. Super nice guy. They have rave reviews. And it's really just coming down to the fact that I don't know if I'm going to have the time to do it. Because at this point, I don't know. Next weekend is like the big move for the house. Then I've got to move the shop. And in between those 2 weeks, I have to do the drywall and the paint and everything else. So
just get a new house.
Yeah, I'll just sell the one that I'm, barely moving to yet.
Just get some type on it and I'll throw some food coloring in it. Make it green.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, Jason. Yeah. Don't fall for those marketing,
Jesus,
tough words,
It's all
basically freaking glue, whatever.
It's not what you think. It's not like glue like type. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So, and it's green. Why are you criticizing me for going with something green, Sedge?
Yeah, with your green dream horse shoes.
Yeah. With your green shoes, your green shirt, your green tools.
Look at the flames.
That is a lifestyle choice, Sedge. That's all.
Yeah. Dream horse. I did see orange glue, yellow glue. I don't like those colors. That was a joke. Anyways, so it didn't include the green glue. The green glue is very expensive. So think of a tube of caulking. Only it's $24.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Per tube.
Yeah.
The manufacturer recommends.
What is it? 1 tube per sheet, right?
2.
2 tubes per sheet?
Yes. The manufacturer recommends 2.
Yeah.
So, and you're talking, 25 sheets for what 25 sheets for what I need, that's 50 bottles. That's a lot of money, right? So now it was the original quote plus that money. Cause he was like, the only thing you'd have to provide is the green glue. That's not included in the quote. I'm like, well, now it's not such a great estimate, right? Now, so then I went back and did the math, and that was using standard drywall. Eric, what's up?
I was going to say, of course, I know what green glue is, but for the listeners who may or may not be familiar with the product, why don't you loop them in?
So basically, green glue is like an adhesive that has like sound dampening properties. And so the tests, I read all kinds of tests. I read all kinds of other stuff. So basically what you're doing is when you're laminating 2 sheets of drywall together, you're using the green glue in between. And what it does is it acts as a vibration absorption and a sound dampener. So it provides a slight little gap between the 2 pieces of drywall after it's cured and it's dried, therefore leaving that air gap to help dissipate the noise. This is basically what green glue is. If you were to just take 2...
I think the same thing happened with Sedge's shoes, right? Like the same properties.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
He's dead silent in the shop. You can't even hear him coming behind you.
Yeah. So that's...
If it weren't for his thick Maine accent, you would never know he was there.
I don't get an accent.
Yeah, not at all.
Sedge, say car.
R.
Like a true American.
Whatever.
He's been going to his speech therapist. Good job, buddy.
Whatever.
So I basically did the math, and I could buy all of the green glue. I could buy actual sound break by a company called National, 5/8 inch drywall, 4x8 sheets. They run like $54 or $56 a sheet. So then what I thought was, okay, I'll double up the interior walls and I'll do single layer on the exterior walls. And that should do everything I need it to do. And I could do all of that for like $2,000. The estimate was $4,000. That wasn't including the green glue. So add another, $700 in green glue. So it's over double. Granted, I would have to do it myself. And I just don't know if I have, I don't know. I'm starting to get worried because I've been thinking about it, Sedge. The only weekend that I could realistically do it is the weekend that you're going to be gone.
Did we lose him?
We might have.
He's just pretending to be silent so we don't have to do it.
Yeah, he's like, I'm just gonna sit here still and pretend like I didn't hear that he wanted. No, he was gonna help me do it, and we were gonna do all the stuff. And
I already got my stuff down there. I got my gun and screws. I'm ready to go, bro.
Oh, I was just gonna let the crackheads that were gonna do my drywall use all that stuff.
Oh. I'll get
take it
I'll
as
get
payment.
along with them.
So anyway, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm frustrated. Every time I walk out into the shop, like our house is actually doing really well. Like we moved a ton of stuff already. I cleaned out the entire upstairs today. The only thing left up there is the bed. And I'm taking all that Friday. I'm going to move some of our bigger things on Friday. So when I walk out in the shop though, in immediate anxiety.
Yeah.
Because it's so much stuff and I haven't even started. I've packed things, but I haven't even started. And I'm stressing because I don't want to put it in the garage right now.
Well, I think that the only, well, not the only, but a good thing about that is that if you're going to hire someone else to do that, that is a write-off for you.
Yeah.
It's a set, you know?
Mm-hmm. I mean, everything that I do in the shop will end up being a write-off of somehow. Speaking of write-offs, I did get my, find out what I owe on taxes, and it was not as much as I was expecting. So that's good.
That's good. So you don't have to dip in as much.
Cool.
No.
Enjoy life, man.
Yeah. No. Okay. So what I wanted to talk about, right? So, and we'll move on to somebody else, but this is too funny not to share. So Sedge was over. You were at the house on Saturday. You might have seen some of it if I remember correctly, but so I have a security camera in my garage and it doesn't do the greatest job picking up noise, but the video quality on it's really good. And you can hear what people are saying, especially if they're really close, which happened a few times. So during the showings, like every 15 minutes, this thing is going off. And of course I have that there because I have, thousands of dollars in tools in here. And I don't know these people coming through my house. Right.
Yeah.
And not just for that at nighttime or whatever else. And it's in plain sight. It is literally sitting right behind me. I'll show you guys. There it is. That little white box.
Yeah.
Sitting right there. And man, the conversations and the confusion you would not believe.
Really?
Oh my gosh. So I had people coming in here, the like four of the 11 or 12 showings that we had, at least 4, they were totally dumbfounded. They had no idea what was up with my garage doors. Even though it was in the notes for the showing. I don't know why my speaker went down, but they were like, does the garage door not work? Where's the motor? And they're like pointing at the ceiling, like there should be a motor there. Where is this motor? It doesn't work. How does this work? Then I have that big long Festool track on the garage door. People thought that was like a locking mechanism.
It's like one of those huge like door lock things.
They thought that
sliding lock like medieval times.
So what is this? Like, does this mean this can't open? Like, I don't really understand. Like, where's the motor? It does say that the garage door doesn't work. Yeah, the single car that has a wall in front of it doesn't work. But it also says that the equipment for it is in the attic and it can be completely transformed back. It says that it's a side mount motor. People are just clueless. Like, what is a side mount motor? What is this witchcraft, right?
Yeah.
Even the home inspector or the appraisal already happened today. We just went under contract on Sunday, which they haven't even done the inspection yet, but the house has gone through the appraisal. It's really weird. And even he asked the question. And the funny thing is, on my door for the garage door, I have a note that says common questions about the garage. And it talks about the single car door, the double door, that it uses a side mount motor. It's located to the left of the garage at the ceiling. And people were just so, blown away. Like, I can't tell you how many people thought that they would not be able to use a garage door in this house.
But Jason, the thing that blew me away was when we were watching that, how the realtors didn't know.
Yeah. So
that was showing.
Yeah. That was the other thing. And I talked to my realtor about that.
Sorry, guys. My internet's shot.
It's all right.
Yeah.
I picked up what you were saying, but
okay.
Some of these realtors, I just do not understand how they're realtors.
Mm-hmm.
Like they could not answer any questions. They were completely clueless. They were giving wrong information. Everything was provided. Like it's all in their little system or whatever. It was just very interesting. But the other funny thing was too, is so that was sitting up there on the wall, and most people that came in were like looking around. They're like, "Hey, what's that? Is that a YouTube award?" And there was a couple people.
YouTube award.
Yeah, there was a couple people that like pulled out their phones and they were like looking at the name, and they like did a Google search or whatever. And one guy, he searched on Google, and then he turned to his buddy.
I'm subscribing. Like, I'm a sub.
He was like, man, check this out. This is that guy or whatever. And they were talking BS and back and forth. It was just funny. I think he knew that the camera, I mean, it's in plain sight, you know, you can't miss it. But some people came in here and they were like, oh, this is exactly what I was looking for. One older gentleman came in and he was like explaining to the realtor what all the tools were. That was pretty cool, but it was just very interesting to watch for sure.
How many people were shown the house?
Somewhere between 12 and 14 families had showings on Saturday. And I think we had six or seven offers.
Man,
dude, it's bonkers right now.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
The offer we accepted was 15,000 over asking.
Yeah.
With an appraisal gap.
What were you going to say, Eric?
I was going to say, I bought this place almost exactly a year ago. It was last April or May. And I walked in, it was an open house, noon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, whatever it is. Saw the place. I was like, I dig it. Solid bones, like lots of work with in here. Called up the lady I met here doing the showing later that day, maybe 4 or 5 o'clock. I was like, hey, you know, I like the house, like thinking about putting an offer in. Just wanted to like get a vibe on how competitive it is. Like, can I think about it for a couple of days? She was like, it's been on the market for 5 hours. We've already gotten 6 offers and they want to make a decision tonight.
Jeez.
Wow.
Okay, let me make some phone calls.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. What was really weird about my house is we had showings scheduled for Saturday and Sunday. Saturday, I actually went to bed Friday night really worried. I told Sedge this because we only had 4 showings because of a mishap with the listing, and it's a whole nother story. But I went to bed, I woke up in the morning, had 1 more showing, so we had 5, and I'm like, this is not looking good. Like people are starting to get cold feet or whatever. As soon as we got up to the new house and started painting, it was just like one after another. I mean, they were just filling up. Sunday, we had 0 listings scheduled or 0 showing scheduled. And I was like, that's really weird. Like what, if you didn't make it on Saturday, you just assume that you're not going to get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the thought process.
Not a single one. Yep.
Yeah. So they know it goes that day.
Yep.
Well, Jason, look at all the houses that you looked at, and they went all the same day when you guys walked all those houses.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah, we made offers, I think, on 5 or 6 houses in total. And this was the one that we ended up getting. So anyway, that's what I've been up to. Just oh, I'm sorry. I forgot the most important part, guys. I submitted my retirement packet.
Yeah, right. Now you're talking.
There it is.
Why did I not lead with that? It's like that's the best thing that's happened to me in the last 19 years, except for Leo and Nicole and all the other things I'm supposed to say.
Good save.
Right. And Festool. Yeah.
Oh, I see you took down all your Ryobi out back of you.
I did. Yep.
Yeah.
I took it all down and put it in Festool sustainers.
Nice.
Well, that's awesome, man. It's good that you're on the way. You're on the way out.
Yep. Yes, it is. They are trying to mar to me for hearing, but I actually got an email about that the other day saying you need to fill out your packet. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't. So I'm going to hold off on that. I'm going to drag my feet until my stuff is actually
when are you going to start being able to pull back from
August.
Your work? Okay.
Yeah, right when our new baby is born.
Yeah, that's great.
Excellent. So you'll have all the time in the shop then.
All the time in the world. Yep.
Yeah.
Everything I need. Anyway, Sedge, what have you been up to, or do you want to kick it over to Erik Curtis?
Why don't I kick it over to Erik?
I mean, I just work, man. I just, small business. It's a lifestyle choice more than anything, right? It's currently I'm working on a piece for a good friend of mine, who is a surprise. But he's never going to listen to a podcast I'm on, so I don't got to worry about him finding out before his birthday. But he's turning 40. And his wife commissioned me secretly to make this liquor bar for them, that he's wanted me to make for, a year or two now. And we got this big ruse going on where, I hang out with him like weekly, and he's always like, oh, I'm just real disappointed that Lauren and I couldn't get on the schedule before, locked up, and not going to get this done for our birthday, but like maybe over the summer. I'm like, yeah, totally, man. Just shoot me an email whenever. So I've been working on this thing a lot lately, and coaching baseball. So balancing those two things is pretty much all the time, man.
So question, are you not teaching at the school anymore?
No, so I stepped away from that. There were opportunities that arose that I don't think I am legally allowed to discuss publicly yet.
It's Green Horse. It's okay. It's Green Horse.
Green Horse shoes.
Dream Horse.
Yeah.
But that overlapped with the start of the school year. And so I would have been gone for the first 6 weeks of the school year. And much as I didn't want to walk away from teaching, I loved that job. It was fantastic. It was, it's a choice where you got to take advantage of the opportunities that are in front of you and see what's down the road that lies ahead.
Which school was that, Erik?
So I was teaching at Morristown Friends School, which is about 20 minutes outside of Philly. And I was teaching grades 5 through 12. I was teaching all the way from intro to woodworking with the 5th graders and hand saws and hot glue and, building towers out of dowels and things like that, all the way up through studio art and studio furniture portfolios. It was great, man.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if you've seen Jason's channel, but I'm sure that you've seen similar work in his videos that you probably saw in the classroom. So
it's on par. A lot of boxes, a lot of square things.
No curves, like Patrick would say. No curves.
A single curve in there anywhere.
Yeah.
Curves
are for sissies.
That was a really fun job. I did really, really enjoy that. But anyway, yeah, this week, just coaching, working, making things. I'm kind of in that rush about 2.5 weeks out, I think, from delivery date. So got about a week and a half to get the thing finished and start getting finish on it.
Just pocket holes everywhere. And...
Oh my God, just pocket holes left and right. Because they don't know. They don't know.
But that's how you put it. That's how a true craftsman does it, though. Pocket holes.
This is my whole philosophy, right? If I
construction
chop tenon and I glue the things together, you have no idea that there's any joinery in there. If I put a pocket hole in there, if I countersink that with a drywall screw, I can point to that and say, like, this is the work.
Design.
Yeah.
It's all about design.
It's all about craftsmanship, and it's really that exposed joinery craftsman aesthetic that I'm going for.
I just like to put fake plugs in all of my work to make it look like there's something underneath it.
That's the pro move.
And so, at what point do you paint the dovetails on the edges there?
Oh, well, what I like to do is I just like to give it a nice like primer coat, just all white, and then sand it back and really give it the distressed look. Yeah. And then once I've done that, I like to just like break things and glue it back together and like kintsugi. And then
do you like to take it like a chain and smash before you stand?
That's how you distress it.
Yep. And then of course on top of that is the ocean pour. Otherwise, it's not a piece of furniture.
No. It's not real furniture without an epoxy pour somewhere.
If you're not doing an ocean pour, if you're not getting the crispy white cells on top of that piece of furniture, what are you doing?
Oh yeah, putty and paint, make it paint.
Summertime's upon us. I mean, it's Bikini season's right around the corner, guys.
And what better way to get the ladies to come over my house in that mindset than with a Riverport ocean situation right in the middle of the, It's really what it's all about. So
What a
I don't know.
dropper.
I don't know if you checked it on my Tinder profile, but I do ocean pours.
That's
all
what
the time.
You know, a lot of guys open with the like the picture of them holding a fish. Just holding.
Yes.
That's what I lead with right there, baby. Hey guys, listen, it's hard being single in your 30s, okay? You got to take what you get.
I was Bella, stop. I was there a year ago.
So you feel me? You feel the pain.
Oh, totally, man. I'm telling you, man, it's anytime that my fiance and I.
Okay, so we can talk about it?
The drop.
Well, I just got to say that anytime like one of her single friends comes over, the first thing that I do, obviously I like tell them hey and stuff, and I'm like, open up your dating apps. I want to see what's dude. There are some winners out there. All I'm gonna say is that,
man.
Like, I mean, what Erik just said, like a guy, holding up a fish. 90% of the profiles out there, that's what they are. Just first picture. Some dude wearing sunglasses, a hat, on a boat with a fish. Like, hey, this could be you.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, we could do a whole second
from my
episode.
thumb.
Yeah, we could do a whole second episode of just me telling you like terrible first date stories off of like Bumble, Tinder, Hinge, all the. Man.
Oh, I can too, man. I had my first ghosting experience a year and a half ago.
Well, okay, Ben, you said something. I want to come back to that, but you're gonna go last on what you've been up to.
Me.
Yes. So
Okay.
Sedge is next. Sedge, what have you been up to?
Not much. Had a couple family crises, so I just been kind of taking care of the house, and I shot some content on Sunday. I got a new hand plane, Bridge City HP8, and I did a video on that. It's a really neat little mini block plane, and that's about it. I guess I just received a really nice package from Woodpeckers. So I'm going to open it up tomorrow. I wonder what it is.
From King Peckerwood himself.
So I'm pretty stoked. I'm going to be doing it. I'm telling you, man. So that's what I've been up to. Just maintaining, trying to get through. My son had open heart surgery last week. So Marianne's down in Florida right now, helping taking care and stuff like that. So
you doing better?
Yeah. Man. Yeah, he got out of ICU today, and they brought him home, but he lost his voice. They bruised his larynx, I guess, with the tubage, so he can't talk right now, and they don't know when or if his voice is going to come back. So that's one of those things that happens, right? In open heart surgery. So just maintaining. That's about it. Trying to get through with everything.
Yeah.
So I don't mean to be a downer or anything. It's just that's what I've been up to.
No, we appreciate you sharing it with us, man. And we hope that everybody pulls through. And
oh yeah, he's a tough kid, man. You just don't know. He's a fitness fanatic. He's so ripped, he's shredded, and he's in the gym twice a day sometimes. And you just don't know when stuff happens, right?
Yeah.
And he's always been a fitness fanatic, and just stuff happens, right? You got a bubble on his aorta, and it could have turned into an aneurysm. So they had to get pretty much an emergency open heart surgery on him. He made the choice. It was the smart thing to do.
Yeah.
So
no, for sure.
Yep. He's just a hell of a open heart surgery, man. They do a lot to get in there, and they got to crack your sternum and blah, 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 blah. And it's about an 8-week. It's a hell of a recovery.
Yeah.
So he's all set. He's going to do good. He's a tough kid. I'm pretty proud of him. So
that's good, man.
That's what I've been up to. And I'm kind of been a bachelor.
Hey,
I'm telling you, man. Well,
Going wild, getting these dream horse shoes.
dude,
Yeah.
I was on Grinder last night. It was freaking awesome.
I'm gonna need to see the ocean pour pic. That's
It's
all.
just
My
no,
God,
no,
you
it's a
should see
pic.
the.
No.
It's a
You
pic
should see
of
the fisherman on that.
it's a pic of Sedge with his dream horse shoes. He's like,
That's it.
yeah, there you go.
Look at the flames. Oh God. So that's what I've been up to. What have you
What
been
about
up
you?
to, Ben?
Benjamin.
Gentlemen, this has been an amazing week. A lot of things have happened over the last 7 days. We'll go from least important to most important. Okay. Tomorrow, my very last forever college class.
Woo!
That's it. No more after this. I got a couple art stuff to submit for one of my classes. I have one paper to write, and then we're done. I'm very excited about that.
Cool.
Jen and I started a diet on Saturday, and I've already lost 11 pounds. And also on Saturday, I got engaged.
Nice.
Mazel tov, my man.
First
Thank
of
you.
all, congratulations. You got engaged on Saturday. You started a diet Saturday. You're down 11 pounds. I have a feeling I know what that diet is.
What? Go on. Tell us, Jason.
Have you left the bed since Saturday?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It was not.
Burning lots of calories there.
No, we both started a keto type diet on Saturday. So it's
Hey, congrats, man. That's awesome. I didn't know. I haven't said anything because Nicole mentioned something to me. We knew you were doing it. We didn't know. Like, remember, said she got all angry at us when we were at the house because
she got a little bent. She got bent.
Yeah, she got bent. We knew that you were going to do it. We just had no idea when you were going to do it. So
Yeah.
she told us that you did, and then they're like, "Well, we're trying to keep it hush hush because you want to
she
tell
got butthurt about that.
the
said-
family." I mean, when I
Well,
say
no,
butthurt, I mean
no.
loosely. You know, Nicole. Like, she wasn't like, "How dare
Well,
you!" and like screaming in
well.
German, like "Scheiße, Schnitzel."
And I said I didn't know he started keto.
Yeah,
I didn't know he started keto, Nicole. You didn't
yeah.
tell me.
Sorry.
You didn't
No,
say
but
anything
that's-
about it.
We haven't said anything. Like, I was going to do stories and stuff, and then I'm like, no, because I don't.
Yeah, we're
I'm going to tag you. Did they know yet?
We're telling the girls on Friday and her parents that same day. So we've been
Okay,
kind
so
of
by the time this comes out, they'll know.
yeah. By the time this comes out, everybody will know. I will have already made a post by the time this podcast comes out. Yeah. So we started scheming how we're going to tell the girls on Friday, and then her parents the same day. So once that happens, then it'll be posted out on all the socials. What is wrong with you?
That's awesome, man.
But yeah, man, I'm really excited. She was completely caught off guard, had no idea that I was going to be doing it, which is what I wanted. So
Okay. It's only fair that you tell us how you did it.
So
We're like,
I got
it's like Sex in the City right now. All of us girls. I want to be.
Girl talk.
I'll be Samantha.
I want to hear. the
Okay,
story.
guys, so listen up.
I
Okay.
want to know how she felt.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So our first date, I took us to
yes.
I took us to a place to get drinks, and then
Ooh, liquor her up.
Buffalo Wild Wings.
Well, drinks
Romantic.
and dinner, and then we went to an escape room, and like that was our
So she
first
couldn't
date.
run away. Smart.
That's kind of like what I call a dungeon.
Oh, you can't solve the clues, Blondie. I guess you're in here forever.
Mm.
Um,
Let me get the whips.
oh, and on Friday, I went and hung out with Garrett from Kim and Garrett Make It.
Oh,
Because
cool.
they're here in Richmond. So Friday I went to I went and hung out with Erik for a little bit, which is cool. He's a patron now,
Nice.
and went to a different escape room that's kind of a little bit closer to her place. Coordinate everything, like how they're going to do the ring and stuff like that, and I didn't tell her that I had a date plan, and so Saturday, probably around noon. She knew that we were going to go to dinner on Saturday later that day. And so at about noon, I was like, "Hey, we're going to go somewhere first before we get dinner." She's like, well, "You didn't tell me that we were going anywhere." I'm like, "Yeah, we're going to go somewhere." She's like, "Well, where?" I'm like I'm going to tell you that. Like because I never tell her where we're going when I plan our dates. And so we go to the escape room. She's like, "Oh, cool, escape room," because we haven't done one since our first date. And so I was kind of hoping that she wouldn't catch on, but this whole time she assumed that it would either be the proposal would either be the same weekend that we started dating, which is 2 weeks from now, from the time we're recording, or sometime after graduation, because we're doing the Chicago trip. She thought that it would be then. And so we go to the end of the escape room, and like I'd already talked to the guy that was going to set up the box for me outside of this escape room. And so like we go into the escape room or the little main lobby area, whatever. I'm like, "Oh, hey, I need to go to the bathroom real quick." She's like, "Okay." And so I
Romantic.
I went and talked to the guy and gave him the ring. And I was like, "Well, where is this going to come out at?" Because I had never done this escape room before. And so he showed me where it was, and it wasn't where the bathrooms were. And so Jen saw us walking to where this table was going to be at the end of the escape room. I'm like, shit, she saw us. And so then I go back and I actually go to the bathroom because I had to, make it seem like it was legit. But all that to say, she was none the wiser. And so we go through the escape room and we're having fun or whatever. Well, the very last puzzle, it requires the players to be in separate rooms. And so she's at the exit. I didn't know that was the exit. And so I'm in another room, hitting these sequence of buttons to try to open up the exit door. And so I hit it. She's like, "Oh, hey, it's open." And so I have to sprint through this crazy spaceship escape room thing, to try to get to where she's at. And so she opens the door, and the guy that laid it out, he did a really good job. He had tables really centered and clean, and the ring was presented and all this other stuff. And she sees it, but it doesn't click at first because she's like, "Wait, is this another part of the escape room or are we done?" And so she turns around and sees me, and I'm just smiling, and then she's like, "Oh shit!" It hits her, and she just starts crying immediately. And
because she knew what the rest of her life was about to be like.
What's funny is, and obviously I get down and asked her to marry me and stuff like that, and the rest is history. But what's funny is the day before we were talking about one of her friends who had an engagement recently, and she was saying how when you propose to me, I want you to say more than just "Hey, do you want to get married?" And I'm in there thinking well, yeah, I'm not gonna just say, "Hey, here's your ring." But what's funny is she was all talk that Friday, and then after Saturday, she was like, "I don't even know what you said." I was so caught off guard. I don't even remember what you said. I don't remember what I said. I don't even remember what happened. She was it was just this whirl. So it was funny kind of seeing her eat her own words about, saying certain things. And not that she was scripting me to say it. She just was saying that I want you to say more than just, "Hey, here you go." But it was really fun. And then after we went to a really nice restaurant and celebrated that, and it was good, man. It was a really good weekend. And she, even now, she still can't really believe that it's happened and that we're engaged. And
did you thank the patrons for paying for the ring?
I did. Could not have bought that $50,000 ring without you guys. So
Man,
just wanted to say thanks.
My God,
life, buddy.
It said Patreon. I mean, Jason's got his jet.
What's my
Sedge has
cut off listening to stories for one episode of that Patreon? So we're gonna make
We'll get you 2 pickup pencils.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? That's 2 pencils I didn't have before, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, Sedge,
those up on my
Sedge,
table.
you got dream
Sedge
horse
is
shoes.
"Wait, what?"
Okay?
Yeah,
you got one picker.
Yeah, but you have dream
No,
horseshoes.
no, Sedge Tool bought these. Look at that. Look at the flame. Look at
I
that.
lo-
Look, you can see
keeps-
through. Look, you can
I
see
love how he
through.
keeps showing them.
He
like
keeps
they're
saying the
cool.
flame. He keeps saying the flame.
Look.
Yeah.
It's
But
almost
look,
like
you can
he's
see
trying to.
through the, you can see through the soul. It's awesome.
It's like he's trying to convince himself that they're really cool looking.
What I really
Yeah, I might send them back.
What I really want is all of the people who listen to this audio only to draw the shoes that they see in their head and send it to you guys.
Just based
I
off
want
of Sedge's description.
all big Sedge is wearing.
Yeah, put it in your stories and tag Green Series Podcast.
I'll give you a hint. It looks like a clown shoe.
Yeah,
Hey,
It
there's
looks
steel
like
toe.
it looks like if a clown and Nike had sex and then spit out a baby shoe for trendy.
It looks like a mask when you do that,
CrossFitters.
Sedge. Looks like
That's what it looks like. Yeah,
There it is.
so ridiculous. Those are awful.
It's
I hope you don't
festive
like
that
this.
Nike came out with a
Don't ever
shoe.
wear those in front of me, please.
Can't wait to come over and paint.
Yeah. Yeah. So I could paint them white. So Ben, I have a big question to ask you. What's your living situation gonna be?
What do you mean?
Like what are you gonna do? Are you gonna be moving or is she
Oh
gonna
no
be
no no
moving?
no
Is-
no. She's gonna sell her place, and move in with us at some point. So
Mm,
Interesting.
cool.
because I mean I have to because of the kids. So.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. She'll move it. She'll sell it in about 20 years and move in.
That's what we're planning on. I mean,
She's like, honey, the market's just really bad right now. It's not a good time to sell.
yeah,
It's
I can't sell right
2022.
now.
Marriage doesn't have to mean cohabitation, you know?
Yeah. You know,
That's it.
Yeah.
you know
Tell that to
there are
her.
How the
some
hell
there's
did
some
you?
there's some couples that do that. Like they're like much older. Like they just don't like they're so beyond like moving in with someone else at that point in their lives. They're just like, look, we can be married, but you keep your house. I'm gonna keep my house.
I love that idea of being like, listen, I love you, but I don't want to see you every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on.
Here
Man.
here we go, Ben. You're at Jen's house right now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's too nice to be your place.
Oh.
Heyo.
Oh, hey yo.
So do we have a specific thing that we were going to talk about tonight?
We do. Back at WorkBenchCon, Eric and I chatted up one night about design and art in
I
woodworking,
knew it was going to be something like that.
and I already kind of pre-gamed Eric about it, and so yeah, because I think that we each are going to come at this from a very different perspective, and especially Eric, being that he's discipline trained in creating really, really exquisite pieces. And so before we even get into that, Eric, can you tell everyone about the woodworking school that you went to, when you went to it? Like what kind of led you up to going to it and stuff like that?
Oh man. Well, we'll start back at like the moment I decided I was going to be a furniture maker, because it was a very clear moment. It was like falling in love with a girl, man. It was an instant. I was what was I, 20 maybe 19, and I was doing the thing that like I thought I wanted to do, like getting fine woodworking magazines and American Woodworker and ordering DVDs and things like that. And I got a sample DVD of Paul Sellers in American Woodworker. And I actually later went on to learn from Paul in a few classes. But it was like a 10-minute DVD of him like cutting edge bandings by hand and just inlaying this black and white, ebony and holly edge banding around a table. And no measurements, no nothing, just doing it all by eye. And I literally, my girlfriend at the time was kind enough to just like indulge me in watching these things with me. And I just turned to her and I was like, oh, that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. She was like, what? I was like, I don't know what that is, but that's what I'm going to do. It was, I don't know. It was a very strange moment of clarity of just like, I don't know who does that. I don't know how to get there. I don't know what that path looks like. There's nobody in my family who's a craftsman. There's nobody in my family who's an artist. but it was like falling in love. It was just like whatever it takes to figure out how to get there, that's where I'm going.
So how did you even get exposed to it then, if no one around you had ever done it?
I grew up in the trades, you know. So I was on job sites. My father was a maintenance man and a handyman. I grew up as a carpenter and doing electrical work and plumbing work and framing work and all the things. And then I kind of it just kind of refined itself over time.
Yeah.
You know, I enjoyed doing the finish carpentry for a time, and then and I think that's kind of why I fell in love with wood and with furniture specifically. Is it? I didn't know at the time that I was doing it that I wanted to be an artist. I just thought that I wanted to make things out of wood, and I think building furniture was kind of that. You know, it was the 90s, it was the early aughts. Like there still had to be like a little bit of machismo in there. Like, oh, I'm making furniture. Oh, what are you gonna do?
You worn a tank top while you worked with wood.
Yeah, you know, you gotta live your life. And so that's how I got exposed to it. And then once I kind of had that realization of furniture is the way I want to go, I was still living in the greater Philadelphia area at the time, and I literally was just like shooting out emails and calling, like blind calling people, trying to find anybody to apprentice me. And this would have been 2009, 2010. So like not a great time to try to find work. You know?
Hey, buddy, we're in the middle of a crisis right now. I don't know if you know you do that.
They're like, listen, I know you can't hardly feed your family, but like, do you want to take an apprentice? And so at some point, the guy who ran the Philadelphia Furniture Show basically just gave me the bit of advice. He was like, go to school. It's not because you can't learn a trade without going to school, but the connections that you'll make at school make the investment worth it. And for what it's worth, I found that to be 150% true. Like every positive thing that has come about in my career has been a direct or secondary connection to CFC or Peter Korn. So it's paid itself back in spades.
And it's all culminated by being on this podcast. I mean, you know what?
And now I'm going to shoot.
It's all full circle.
Now after this podcast and be like, listen, I made it. It's fine. You just put me on the cover of the monthly CFC situation over there. Like put me on the homepage at the website. I'm a big deal now.
I made it, Ma. I made it.
I made it. So then, tinkered around, went to and did some classes. Like I said, found Paul and took a couple of classes from him, and then ended up going to do the 9-month program at CFC in 2012, 2013, which is the longest program that they offer up there. And the reason I chose CFC over other schools like North Bennett Street or College of the Redwoods, the Krenov School as it's known, is because the blend of craftsmanship and design was kind of where I wanted it to be. You know, it was like, and there's nothing against the other two schools. They're brilliant schools. There's a bunch of really fantastic schools, but they have their thing. You know what I mean? Like Bennett Street is we make production or period furniture. Or hand tool school. Krenov is we make Kronovian style furniture. Whereas CFC and my teacher, Alan Lewis, among many other fantastic teachers, he is a brilliant furniture maker and a fantastic teacher, and is really like, you know, wherever you want to take this, let's take it there. And I give Alan a lot of credit because he and I had some fundamental philosophical differences about how to approach furniture at the time. And I think I drove him a little bit batty, but he was always very patient with me while I was trying to figure out how to, like, you know, incorporate hand tools and that kind of almost slow production style, right? The intimate production style into, you know, making furniture for a living, which was not his style. So did that 2012, 2013, got out from there and bounced around cabinet shops and you know, doing my own thing on the side, really trying to figure out how to, because it's one thing to design and build interesting objects in a class setting, right? We've all had classes, you have teachers there who can bounce ideas off of, you can figure things out, you can take aesthetic risks because there's no buyer.
It's kind of in a bubble. You kind of create design in a bubble.
Right. Whereas you get out into the real world and you go, oh, I need to make objects that people actually want to buy.
You got to deal with all the Karens and the.
Right.
Can you make a shaker table?
Man, I actually did. You know, Jason said earlier, beating something with a chain. I legit did that for a piece early on in my career. This lady,
I mean, who hasn't? Let's be
literally.
real.
This lady literally sent me a Pottery Barn photo, and she was like, "Can you make that for me?" I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I want to eat, so I guess I."
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to put food on the table, brother.
Right. We've all done that.
Yeah.
So bounced around for several years doing that, doing odd jobs on the side, you know, just trying to figure out how to live this life. And then I was lucky enough to get a job teaching wood shop and sculpture, you know, grades 5 through 12, and did that for 4 years. And that in some ways was kind of my own education in design and sculpture, because I went in as like a woodworker, as a furniture maker, even though I knew I had an inclination previous to that like sculpture was kind of where I wanted to go. But I had to force myself to learn like the fundamentals of art in order to teach kids how to do that. And so that was a brilliant experience in and of itself.
That's awesome.
You mentioned you had smashed things with a chain.
Oh yeah.
Have you also made fake wormholes with a screw?
Oh, for sure. And took an old toothing plane from like 1890 or whatever with those V-style teeth and just, you know, beat the bloody out of it. The worse that it looked, the more she loved it.
Oh yeah.
And I'll never. That was one of the
more distress, Eric. More distress, please.
That was one of the first commissions I ever did, and I remember delivering it. I had it wrapped up in blankets, obviously, and I just remember thinking, like, what a piece of trash, man.
Why did you have it wrapped up in blankets? If it got dinged, it was just more distress.
Like,
and she loved it, right?
Oh my God, like literally like welled up with tears.
Yep.
Like, really?
Yep.
This is what moves you as a human? Man, okay. All right.
It's exactly like what I saw in Pottery Barn. I love it.
So I wanted to mention, I know we want to get into the topic, but the sculpture that you did, you carved the woman's figure out of the wood. How crazy did that go on social media?
Well, you know what's funny is like I get a lot of feedback from it now, but at the time, like sculpture doesn't do very well on social media. Because people, you know, I mean, hey, we can laugh at ocean pores all we want, but like there's a reason.
That's what
you know.
I like the boat table.
Boat table.
That was beautiful, man.
My refusal to do a river table.
I know. I loved it.
Well, what was the inspiration for you to carve that? Because I remember when you did that, at first I was like, what the heck is he doing? And then I was like, that's actually really freaking cool. Like, what was your inspiration for that? Were you just like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to carve a woman's figure out of wood.
Listen, sometimes you need to like make your own girlfriend, you know?
I mean, you are single, so clearly you're lonely.
What is this, weird
Do we
science?
Talk about it. Yeah.
Wow.
How lonely are you?
Listen, it's getting hard out here, buddy.
Hey man, look, you don't want this Bumble games like this Hinge game. You don't know what it's like out here, man.
No, that piece actually came about toward the end of or just after quarantine, I guess. So that was the end of 2020. And I had started over quarantine to dabble in figurative sculpture, and I'd never done that before. I didn't have any proper training in that. And so I'd done some clay pieces, I had done some small scale things, and I just decided I had this oak log that I had cut down from my mother's yard, 4 or 5 years ago. And I had a few sections of it, and I decided I wanted to do a full scale figurative piece. And so I dove into it kind of with the understanding that like it might end up being a table, it might just end up being a sculpture. I didn't really know where it was going, but I wanted to explore that, and it felt like a good time to do that. So I gave myself a week in between Christmas and New Year's at the end of 2020, and did that. I will say that was kind of fresh into the first relationship I had been in 3 years, maybe. So like that probably influenced it a little bit.
Coming out of quarantine, haven't been around any people for a while.
Listen,
Did you start at the knot hole in the log?
Yeah, rubbing that hardwood.
Telling you, man.
That was a fun piece to explore. I do like that piece, and I've done a few more figurative things actually, but I do want to do a male counterpart to that, hopefully within the next year.
Oh, Ben will be your model for that.
Yeah.
Listen, buddy, I pulled my own measurements for the female model, so I need a proper male.
Yeah.
What's that one sketch with Will Ferrell where he's the nude artist for the art class? You call yourself an artist. You wouldn't know true art if it was out in the parking lot waiting to give you hepatitis, which it will be doing. So, Eric, how?
Oh God.
Do you feel that at this point now that you have, do you have like your own style, I guess, or do you have your own spin on doing furniture pieces? Because looking at your Instagram, like there really isn't this one unifying detail that I could see. I mean, it almost feels like you just kind of try anything and everything. So yeah, so I mean, do you feel like that you've come up with your own style of things, or is that something that you're still kind of exploring?
No, I think I intentionally try to avoid kind of falling into the I mean, I don't want to call it a rut that has a pejorative to it, that I don't want to throw that on people who have a style, but
Yeah.
For me, what I find engaging about what I do and what we do is the intellectual pursuit of like trying to find something new.
Yeah.
Or just seeing if I can do something that somebody else has already done because I can't do it, and so when I'm coming up with a concept for a piece, there's kind of two ways that it goes. First, I might come up with a concept, and then that might inform how the piece ends up looking visually, right? So I recently did a cabinet where the outside was all quarter sawn cherry, and it was kind of understated, and the doors just had the tiniest little bit of texture to them. And then on the interior is divided into two, and on the right-hand side is a walnut crotch that's just super loud and super vibrant. And then on the left-hand side, everything is kind of very well proportioned, very quiet. The back panel is an English sycamore that's all quartered and straight grain. And so there's this juxtaposition. And what I was hoping to represent was kind of the duality of humanity, right? We are all more than one thing. We all have the capacity for, profound good, and all have the capacity to do terrible things.
Yeah, we're not inherent just one thing. It's that potential is always there.
Right. And so that's what I was hoping to represent with that. Now, whether somebody reads it as that or not is almost irrelevant. That was the exploration that I was having. So that's one way that can go. The other way is choosing a technique or a visual that I want to reinterpret. And then, quite frankly, like, I just like, we think that copying is a bad thing. Everything's already been done, y'all.
Yeah.
Just like do the thing somebody else has done.
Yeah.
And for me, I think that I am maybe not as good a craftsperson as I could be, or maybe that's an unfair way to put it, but when I try to recreate somebody else's work, I know that it's going to come out slightly differently. And that in and of itself will end up being my own take, which is part of the reason why I love hand tools, and that process of being intimate with the wood is because, like, you know, Ben, your hand might do one thing. My hand can try to replicate what you do, but it's just going to come out ever so slightly different.
Yeah.
You know? And so in copying other people's work, it ends up kind of being consumed and regurgitated in my own way.
Yeah. What's the saying? Good artists copy, great artists steal.
Oh, 100% that's true.
Yeah.
Now, you know, it's just, I encourage people to steal from me all the time. You know, people will DM me and be like, "Oh, I love that. Do you mind if I copy that idea?" I'm like, "Go for it, man." Because when you do it, it's going to end up looking different from the way that I did it. And even if it doesn't, who cares? Like, the goal is the object, and to make my life and your life better by contributing something positive to the human experience. Yeah. And if you can do that, and I can encourage you to do that, then I've done everything I want to
do. So that's a really interesting point, kind of going back to what you're saying with certain styles that people have. And I want to say that it's almost like people have a tendency well, as humans, we latch on to what's familiar, right? Like the friends that we have, they're pretty much all the same for the most part. You know, there may be slight variations, but more or less, they're all the same people. It's very rare that there is like just this huge variety of people that we surround ourselves with. And, you know, it's interesting that you say that you don't really feel like you have a style because you're always trying new things. You're always trying to get inspired from other people. And do you think that especially as a business owner, do you think that in a business owner that does purely custom work, does that present a challenge in the sense of your time? Because, you know, as humans, we try to find the path of least resistance. We try to find naturally what's going to be the easiest way for me to do this, you know, maximum effort with least amount of energy. And so for someone that does pure custom work, you know, is that a challenge for you to always come up with a new idea or a new take or a new perspective versus, because the easiest thing would be to you know, make a pottery barn table and just mass produce and just, you know, sell the living hell out of it. Do you think that's, you know, is that challenging for you to always come up with that new thing?
I mean, it can be. I will say off the jump that nobody should ever take my business advice. That is not my forte. So with that caveat on there, I've been lucky to find clients who understand, respect, and value my process. And so what I try to be upfront with everybody as soon as I can is just like explain to them how I work and why I think what I do has value. And what I often tell them is, I don't think that I get paid to build your piece. I think I get paid to think about your piece, because anybody can build a cabinet, right?
Yeah.
Like anybody can build a box. And 99% of woodworking is just boxes.
Yeah.
What the reason that you're paying me to build a piece and not somebody else to build a piece is because I will think about and approach your object in the way that I know how, which is going to be inherently different if I'm honest and capable of it, than anybody else can approach it.
Yeah.
So that being said, that's a terrible business model.
I was just gonna. How do you find your clients? Where did your clients come from?
So they
respect
from Instagram.
You this much. Want this and design it.
I missed that last part. Say again. Oh, it might be frozen.
I keep bumping off and on, and I can't follow the conversation. I apologize.
No, what was the last thing you said?
Well,
We caught everything, Sedge. Just the
oh,
last
you
part.
caught everything? Okay, so what
Yeah.
I was asking is, hey, where do your clients come from? But how do they come up to you and say, hey, I want something for my foyer. I'd like to have a hall table. And then you go,
Sure.
respect my design on it. Let me come up with a design for you. How does that work?
So,
Because
so
that
what I
interests me
try
the
to
most.
do, yeah, what I try to do with the clients right up front is figure out what the creative limitations are. And if I can establish what those are, then there's a lot of freedom within those boundaries, right? It's like, the writer says the most intimidating thing is the blank white page, right?
Mhm.
Once you figure
Absolutely.
out what the story has to be about, then it's just telling a story, right?
Right.
So I'll give you an example. This past summer, I did a commission for a woman who lives on a vineyard in New Jersey. And what she wanted was, when you first walk in their house, it's a young vineyard. They just built this house like within the last year or two. When you first walk into their house, it opens up into this kind of living room, entertaining room area. And directly through the living room, there's this giant pane of glass that looks out onto the young vineyard. And you can see all these, and like vines have all kind of these weird organic
Oh,
curves,
yeah.
a lot of movement to them. And what she wanted was the first thing you see when you walk in is the back of the sofa. So she wanted a sofa table or a sculpture to go on the back of there. So said, okay, let's figure out how we can kind of make something that gives me the freedom to work and create as the thing comes up, but gives you what you want. So she had specific dimensions. It had a height, a width, and a length. And she wanted it out of walnut, and she wanted it to kind of have something to do with the vineyard. That was really where the creative limitations lie. And sofa tables have a general kind of dimension to them. And so from there, I just said, okay, I'll send you a rough sketch of what kind of I think it's going to be, and then I'll call you when it's done.
Wow.
And we set a budget, and what I ended up doing was I asked her to pull about 5 or 6 images from the vines out back, and just pulled some of the lines from there, and ended up essentially creating 5 independent sculptures that were all kind of articulated toward each other with a top on it. And the hope was, conceptually again, that I wanted these 5 sculptures to kind of have this loose vibe to them that almost felt like 5 people at a party that were like a little bit wine drunk, and kind of having a good time and like in community with one another. And this, of course, is a table that she said that, she would put like gifts on when they host parties and things of that nature. And it ended up like, when I installed the piece, she didn't see the final piece before I installed it. So I installed it, and she came out, and, you see the piece, you see the living room, and you see the vineyard out back. And the lighting was just so that it was casting a shadow of the sculpture onto the back of the couch as well. And she came out and her husband came out. And the first thing that she said was, she was like, oh, the shadow almost makes them look like they're dancing in the firelight. And I was like,
Got it.
I love what I do, man, because like the second you get an interesting interpretation from anybody, let alone the client that you just made it for, it's like,
Yeah, it's a win.
It's fantastic. It was a level that I hadn't even considered when it happens.
Is, just out of curiosity, is that the one?
That's the table. Yeah.
That is super cool.
Yeah, that was a fun one. And those
are called curves, Jason.
Yeah, never mind. I hate it. Patrick would love this.
After that, you can see, I'm almost sure that I did post the image of the piece in place against the back of the couch. So that's how that works. And, and like I said, this piece that I'm working on now, the kind of creative limitations are, it needs to be a liquor bar. She gave me rough dimensions. She wanted 2 doors. She did not want frame and panels, which is why I did shops on veneers and did the door there. I'm going to add a little bit of curvature and texture to the handles, so it's not just a big box. And all of it is coming from a tree that her father felled 5 years ago. And so
Way cool.
yeah,
That's awesome, man. That's what really makes a piece just. It's always a story behind it that makes it more interesting than what it actually is, you know.
and so again, but it's just about establishing what the
Yeah.
creative limitations are, so that when the piece is delivered, because it's important to me to allow the piece to evolve as I make it. If I come up with an idea in my head, I know myself and my process well enough to know that it may not be the best choice when I'm actually looking at the object. So I need the freedom from the client to be able to make the decision in the moment to say, like, that needs to go here, or this needs to move, or this line needs to change a little bit. And so if we establish those creative limitations, then I know, okay, you're getting the things that you want out of the object, and everything else is my playground to just see what happens and come up with things.
What would you say for any woodworker that wants to, and I don't want to say spice up, or, you know, what are some common things that a woodworker can apply to a project that takes it from just being a very simple box to something that is a little bit more ornate? Like what are the down and dirty fundamentals that really kind of transform something from, again, just a box to something a little bit more expressive or artistic or interesting to look at?
I'm going to give you 2 bits of advice right off the jump that I give all of my students. And the first one is the most important one. And it's just, don't be afraid to fail, right?
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to make something ugly, because when you're learning, you don't know that it's going to be ugly until you make it and you look at it and you go, something's off about that.
Yeah.
And then you just get it, and then you just get a nail in a chain and you just sell it to some lady named Karen that loves Pottery Barn, you know, like just throwing a black turtleneck and be like, so the exquisite
right.
of the table.
It's bespoke, man. It's fine. But I understand why people don't want to invest the time and money in machines, materials, etc., and then come up with a subpar object. I get that.
Yeah.
But if you don't take creative risks and really like teeter on the edge of something that you're not quite capable of, but it's just beyond your reach, so you can kind of get out into the water just a little too deep. If you can get there, if you can push yourself to get there, that's where interesting things happen, right?
Yeah.
Because you have the technical capacity to do the thing. Your toes just aren't quite touching the sand.
Yeah.
So get out just a little bit deeper than you're comfortable going, and don't be afraid to risk failure. And you know, you're gonna make 100 terrible looking things before you ever make something pretty. That's just,
yeah, man. Look at Jason's YouTube channel. You know, like God Almighty.
I've learned
As he-
so
as
much watching Jason on his YouTube channel.
Yeah,
I
how
think
not
it's
to
a
do
great
things.
channel, Jason.
I've learned how
I've
to
learned
make
you,
so
buddy.
much.
boxes. It's phenomenal.
No, people like you fascinate me because
Oh, what do you mean? People like him? People that got beards? Is that what you mean? Huh?
yeah,
Huh?
yeah, weirdos with beards. No, because like my brain doesn't work like that. I don't, it is very hard for me to like think of a design for something. Like I need the inspiration of seeing, like, I'm going to be honest with you, that I actually never saw that table when you had posted it originally. I think that is phenomenal. I would have never thought of that idea. So simple. It's a beautiful table. And to be honest with you, like, I would love to challenge myself and make something like that. I'll probably rip it off and say that it was my design and
You don't
I'll
gotta
give you any
me
credit.
buddy.
No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, like, I wish that I was like that, and I would love to. And I feel like once I'm, done with the Army and I have time to dedicate towards the business and more time to be out in the shop woodworking and stuff. Because like for me, everything that I do is solely based off of either a need in the home or content. That's
Sure.
it. It has nothing to do with client builds. It doesn't force me to think outside the box. It's always like, my time is limited. What can I do? I need to figure it out. I'm going to do it. And then I'm going to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And so I feel like when I have more time, I would love to design stuff like that, but I've tried to sit down before and think of designs on something. I would love to design a chair. Everybody's designing chairs and making templates and all this stuff, but legitimately, I would love to come up with a chair design that is kind of unique. But at the end of the day, I know it's not going to be unique. Like I'm the only one that's ever done it. It's going to be based off of all the other things that I've seen and become inspiration. Because if I hadn't seen the things, I can't put that on paper. That's a
huge point, though.
What's that?
I said that's such a huge point, because if you don't take in information, then visual information, I mean, you can't like amalgamate that information into something new.
Right. And I feel like I think it'd be silly to think that somebody never looks at anything and they're just sitting in a room and they come up with this design and it's totally unique. I don't think that that's true. Like I've seen people get ridiculed for like stealing somebody else's design. And then they truly like, I probably did see this somewhere, but I thought about it one day and I'm like, I want to come up with this. I'd probably seen it as a reference. That's kind of how I work. Like I always look for inspiration. It's very difficult for me to come up with something from scratch, because even when I do try to do that and I think of something, I'm looking for examples of what it is that I'm trying to think of. And I think that everybody draws their inspiration, but the difference is the amount of inspiration that you probably need for something, or the ideas that you need to visually see, are so minuscule compared to me, where I might say, I want to build an entryway table, right? Or a sofa table like that. I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to type in sofa table designs or sofa table ideas. And I'm just going to scroll through the pictures. And then I might see one or two things that kind of spark my interest. Maybe I see two things that have features that are different that I want to incorporate into one. But again, that would have never come out on paper for me if I would have just sit down and start sketching it out. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad you brought up the idea that your brain doesn't work that way, because the truth is, I don't think that mine does either. I think my brain is more scientific than it is artistic or creative. And it wasn't until I figured out, and this is going all the way back to Ben's original question about like advice on how to zhuzh things up, if you will. It not until I figured out how to break down the elements and principles of design and kind of work them like a math equation did I figure out how design actually works. And so there are these things you can Google them. I have worksheets from when I was teaching about the elements and principles of design. They are essentially like 7 basic building blocks, these elements of design. The way that I explained them was, these are the raw materials that you use. So let's just call them like maple, cherry, walnut, oak, etc. Right? There are 7 of those. These are your basic building blocks. The principles of design are the tools that you use to manipulate those basic building blocks into something interesting.
It's almost like thinking of it's a different language, and the design principles are the syntax for how that language is built together.
Yes, that's an excellent way to phrase it. And so,
who do you think designed these?
Somebody who is trying to just get attention on social media.
They're like, hey, look, we need to sell as many of these as we can to bald middle-aged men. What can we do, guys? Give us your ideas. Like, all right, let's go green. Let's go Kevlar. Let's go steel toes, you know?
Steel toe? They're sneakers though. That's fine. Guys love steel toe, you know. But I think what I encourage folks to do is to choose one element of design to focus on, and then choose one principle of design to manipulate that element with. And then what ends up happening is, inevitably, you can't not use multiple principles of design. That's just, everything has line, everything has form, everything, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Most pieces are symmetrical, you know, everything has movement. But if you can focus on
you have those free downloads on your website.
I do actually. Yeah, I do have them on my website. Thank you. I forgot they were there.
Good plug, Sedge.
So you can go check out my website if you want to download those for free. But those are like the building blocks. Like if you were to consider those the same as your fundamental joinery skills in furniture, right? You can't make furniture without knowing the dovetail, without knowing the rabbet, without knowing the mortise and tenon, without knowing the dado, right? Those might be your 4 fundamental joints. Same thing with design. If you understand the fundamental building blocks and then how to manipulate those, then it really just becomes like a math problem instead of just floating out in the ether somewhere of like what a thing should be.
Jason, look, just go to Target or Walmart, just buy a bunch of black turtlenecks. Okay. Buy some non-prescription glasses and just walk around in the house like this.
It is. There's a lot of pacing.
Nicole, feel this table. What is it saying to you, Nicole? What does it sound like? What does it taste like, Nicole?
Well, Eric brought up how I was talking about how my brain doesn't work and how he doesn't think his does. Eric, have you ever seen that meme of all the hot dogs going at the face? That woman? That's how
I love that one.
That's how Ben's brain works. It's just that on repeat over and over and over again.
Gotta live your life, Ben. You know, like I said,
Hey, gotta earn money any way we can, you know?
Love what you love, buddy. You know,
Sometimes if it means taking a wiener to the face, then that's what I gotta do, you know?
sometimes
That's a Panzerbrat.
Panzerbrats.
Economy,
That's right.
sometimes you gotta take a wiener to the face. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You're not a real man unless you've done that before. How can you say that you don't like it if you haven't tried it, you know?
Oh my God. Oh my God.
That's really good advice, and I definitely appreciate that. And
Again,
you know, this was
terrible business advice.
yeah. Well, you
Yeah.
know, I think that I think that you have to pursue whatever it is that makes you happy. And you know, right now, maybe it's not the best, you know, it's not going to make you millions right now. In 20 years, you know, you may make the next Maloof chair, you know,
Well,
and
that's-
beat Jason out of it, you know?
Oh man. Oh, my entire business goal is to just beat Jason. You know, so
Well, you've already won, so like it
Yeah.
doesn't take much.
buddy.
Anybody with a pulse and a camera can beat Jason. So
I am much more
Wow.
handsome though. I'm sorry, Eric.
Wow.
You're not right.
Yeah.
Jason's body's sculpted in a different way.
Yeah, like a fucked up hourglass.
Jason is sculpted more like a half empty sandbag.
He's got,
Yeah.
Wow.
stacked
Wow.
stacked on top of another half empty sandbag.
No, but there's this concept of the funnel, right? And essentially what this is, if you do a field to be I don't know, an expert at, right? Whatever it is, doesn't matter what you choose to be exceptional at. You could be the best sandwich maker this side of the Mississippi, whatever it is. You're going to find yourself limited more and more by opportunities as you narrow what you want to do over time.
Yeah.
But then at some point, you're going to be recognized as a master of your craft,
Mhm.
and the funnel opens up on the other side.
Yeah,
then-
so it's more of an
Right.
hourglass than a funnel.
It's a Jason figure, you know, it's more of an hour.
Yeah.
More of like this.
I like the empty sandbag.
Yeah.
So that's really my whole business model is based off of I don't know, I've been thinking about the idea of making quote good money lately, and not good money in the make a lot of money, good money in the like I could take on
Buy a
jobs
jet.
that would
Yeah.
make, well, if I don't have a jet, what am I even doing, you know?
I know.
Sounds like you need patrons.
Yeah.
If I take on a job that makes my life miserable in order to pay the bills, then why am I doing this thing? You know what I mean? Like I could go back to teaching. I could do other jobs.
Because that makes you miserable. Is that what you're saying, Eric?
Say again.
If I want to be miserable, I'll go back and be a teacher of a bunch
If I
of
wanted to be
unappreciative kids.
miserable, I would go back and work 10 months a year with paid holiday, paid sick vacation, you know? But no, I chose this life because there's something about making objects that makes me profoundly happy. And that's the thing that I want to do with my life. And whether or not I'm doing that full time or just part time while I'm doing something that kind of,
Puts the bill.
Yeah, that accentuates that helps to nourish that
kind of cleans the palate almost.
Yeah, it's about living a life that provides value to the people I love, to the community around me, and encourages people to make things with their hands. And I don't find that joy in making cabinets. So, I make weird objects instead. And if that's, making a little bit less money to do something that I find meaningful, then that's a trade-off I'm willing to make.
A life well lived.
That's it.
A life well lived.
Yeah, I mean, Sedge, he's a gigolo on the weekends. That's how he kind of helps.
And you know
kind
what?
of reset the creative spirit.
If
that's how he
soul, edifying situation. Then rock those green sneaks, get out there,
and hook up with some random dudes that are going to pay you.
No, baby. I need to know your street name
though. Dude.
He only shares that with clients. He can't say it on the air.
Yes. That's it.
Well, awesome. Well, gentlemen, do you guys have anything else for Erik after this enlightening conversation? I feel like Jason, do you have any comments this week?
I have one. I feel like we need to do it. I'm scrolling way, way, way back in my comments right now just to find some that I haven't already done.
Are we going nasty comments?
Oh yeah. So let me, Erik, let me tell you about the segment that we have. It's called Get Bent. It's where we take all of the hatred from the internet, and we take the contempt and we turn it into content here on the podcast.
Oh, I'm so excited for this. This is my favorite thing on the internet.
So, Erik, if you have any hatred that you would like to share with all of us,
I'm going to pull up some doozies because my favorite thing, there's nothing that makes me happier than somebody commenting that was such a waste of time and it was so dumb. Why would you do that? And then I click on their profile and it's pictures of turtles. You're like, what's the basis for your critique, my guy?
Yeah, they have they have on their channel. They have 2 subscribers themselves in their hand.
Oh yeah. And hey, they made a box once. They know what they're talking about.
But Erik, this is by far our most popular segment on the podcast. The Get Into segment,
mean tweets.
And so and you can use whatever you can encompass whatever persona you think this person actually has, and then read your comments. So we each have our own.
Let's joke on it.
All right, Jason, what do you got?
Do you have any, Ben?
I don't. I'll have his positive comments this week.
Me too, man.
Imagine that.
Me too.
All right. So the first one I'll read is this is a relatively recent one. The other ones I scrolled back to over 4 months ago. Because I can all the negative ones I never respond to. So if I just go way back, I can do it. But the first one is from the Domino versus Biscuit Joiner video. And it says, wow, 9 minutes of nothing but a crotch shot. LOL. I guess the camera was pointed at my crotch for 9 minutes.
It's a medium close-up, everybody. Okay, it's a medium close-up.
Standing behind the table. It's cool.
That's a hell of a domino.
Is that a 4 millimeter dominoes there? I can't tell.
I like your biscuit.
I didn't know dominoes came in that small. What is that?
Ooh, is that a
that's from the domino. That's from the Domino 250, isn't it?
Yeah. So the next one is from the Castle Pocket Hole Machine Cutter. This person states, with all due respect, nothing can beat the Craig Foreman Pocket Hole machine. That Castle Pocket Hole, it's small and it looks like a meat grinder machine. And instead of you using one hand to get the job done, why should so
Why don't
Eric,
you
just so
use
you know,
both
I
hands?
always read these exactly like they're
Oh
written.
God.
So, and instead of you using one hand to get the job done, why should of you two different
How big of a
tools-
unit you using, buddy?
But listen to what he writes. Why should of you two different tools? That doesn't make any sense. Oh,
Oh man.
another one from that video.
I love it.
Expensive.
I love it when
Expensive
people
and
give comparative
inconvenient.
reviews.
I'll pass.
I love it when people give comparative reviews on an item that they've never used. That's what I really like.
Oh,
Yeah, that's my favorite. Hold
yeah,
on, let
this
me
is why I
scroll down
love
a
the
little bit.
internet, man. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful place.
Here's one on my installing life-proof vinyl flooring. This is so amateur. Go get the proper tools to do the job. I hope you are not charging for this. Must have missed the part where I said I was doing it to my own house.
What an idiot.
Oh man.
Oh, I read this one before, but I want to read it again. This is my 15 useful woodworking tools. You're gonna remember this one.
One hand to get the job done.
This had to be like one of our first episodes, but this person says, it comes off pretentious when you try to act thrifty when it comes to parallel clamps while standing in front of a wall of festival tools. Oh God, people are so
Mise en scene, Jason. Mise en scene. It's all about the scene setup.
lately I've not been getting a lot of negative comments. I haven't posted a freaking YouTube video. If I don't post one this week, it'll be a month,
Man.
which is like, I think I've only done that one other time in the last, I don't know, 3 years. I'm just trying not to stress about it so much because I have so many other things going on that like I just don't have time. Hopefully next week I'll do one and it'll be the announcement that I'm moving, since people still are surprised when I tell them my stories. They're like, wait, you're moving? What? It's like, yeah, man, I'm moving. I've been talking about it for like 7 weeks. So I'm going to do like a tour of the new shop.
People are going to be like, oh, what an amateur job.
Yeah, of course. I'm going to do a thumbnail that says like I quit, and it's going to be like the background. All my tools are gone.
You ought to do like a gag video and
A
just
what?
make it seem like someone broke into your shop and stole all your stuff.
Yeah, I should start it
And then
off
just
that way.
like end it with you like walking up to the Ryobi section in Lowe's.
I will tell you that, going into retirement, I'm looking at my business in a completely different perspective. And one of the best videos I've had in the past, I don't know, year has honestly been that flooring video.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at that not from the perspective of it was a DIY project that appeals to a larger audience and it's not specifically focused on woodworking. I look at it from the perspective of the comments that I've received and them talking about they appreciate the way that I did the instruction on it and how I went about doing it. And that's coming from somebody that has no desire in woodworking. They were trying to figure out how to install flooring. And that was kind of a light bulb that went off in my head and said, I have a talent, and this isn't to sound big-headed, but I have a talent, and that is explaining things in a way for people to easily understand. Why would I not branch out and do things that will appeal to a larger audience? And the best part about it is that we're about to move into another house, and believe me, the list of things that we are going to do to that house is growing and growing and growing. And I experienced a ton of stuff in this house, and I plan on documenting all of it and, really truthfully making my channel more like Vince Woodworking and More, where I am doing a combination of both woodworking and renovation style projects.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when I do that, I think that my channel is going to dramatically change subscriber wise, monetarily. It's going to open up way more possibilities for me. And I enjoy it. You know,
Yeah.
I like
That's-
teaching it because it's hard. It's stuff that people want to know and they want to find a way. One of the most common questions I get on that flooring video, even though that I was very reserved about doing that video, is this is the most concise video and best video on how to use this product.
Yeah.
Like better than the Home Depot videos, better than anything else. It's long. It's, you know me, it's very detailed and in depth.
Mhm.
Like I talk a lot about things, but people have found it extremely, extremely helpful. And they did flooring in their house. They were like, thank you so much. You know what I mean? I want to do that with more stuff. So kind of excited about it. I do think things will slightly shift, but I still have obviously a big focus on the woodworking, but I don't want to limit myself because of my own personal internal feelings of, I don't want to upset my audience. My audience is going to get bigger. That's going to appreciate that.
Yeah,
I'm over it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so tired of that.
Yeah. It's a challenge for
it.
sure.
That's really interesting because I'm getting a new piece of equipment for my gym. Actually, I'll be able to use it outside. It's a new sled. And I watched 2 videos and they were out of the box and how to put it together. And this guy just posted from England a application on how to use it, how he uses it, why he here. People can do a video, and Ben, we've talked, but a different view hits somebody differently.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so that's important. I think you can
You
do
know,
video after video after video, but
I think that we could 100%, especially all of us, because we all create content for different platforms. And I mean, I legitimately think that could be an entire podcast episode talking about that.
Yeah.
I've been
writing these down every time we have one of these moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been diving, and we'll wrap it up here soon, but I've been diving really deep into breaking down filmmaking because I hadn't really realized that filmmaking is a language. I mean, I alluded to it, used as an analogy earlier, but it 100% is. Every shot is intentional. Every shot means something. It's almost like any other form of art expression. And so, being intentional about what you're shooting, why you're shooting it, how you're shooting it, what you're saying, how you're saying it, all those things are intentional at the big production levels. And so I'm having to kind of wrap my brain around certain concepts, and it's slowly starting to kind of take form. But just how you said, Sedge, like everyone's going to look at every other kind of content and glean something completely different from it because they're looking at it through their own lens. And so that's just like you, Jason. I'm having to kind of get over that hurdle of not necessarily what are people going to think, but how are people going to take this? And at the end of the day, I can't control how people take my videos on any of my channels, And so I think that the point is to kind of, like you were saying, Eric, just, doing the things that ultimately make you happy, whether or not it makes a certain dollar amount at this point. I don't think that that's the point, and just again said, you're saying, living a life that's well lived. I think really that's all that I want to do.
Mhm.
Is just make videos in my basement,
Yeah.
I
Ben-
always
Go ahead, Sedge.
I always tell people, and it was really neat, Eric, when you said originally you fell in love with woodworking. It was like falling in love for the first time. I tell everybody, always follow your passion. Who cares about money? It sounds funny. I know you got to put money on the table. It sounds funny, but I followed my passion. And I've coached people who come up to me and say, hey, you do really well. I go, well, I paired everything off and followed what I loved, and that was woodworking. And it's come full circle. The money will follow. I tell everybody that money will follow eventually. If you're told 1,000 people that, and it's worked out for people, because I know some very successful people that were really struggling in life,
Yeah.
and they just said, okay, hey, I like fishing. They went to go work at, my buddy went to go work at Bass Pro Shops. It was like it was a light bulb that went off, and now he's a very successful guy down in the Florida Keys.
Well,
You
what's
know,
funny
it's
is
just
that
follow your passion. That's what.
what's funny is that when
tell
you
everybody.
when you do follow your passion and you do pursue what you enjoy doing and that you're good at, of course that stuff's going to naturally come. And like for me, I like the teaching thing, but I don't want it to be pegged towards one avenue, because there's only so far you can go. When the more narrowed down you are, obviously the smaller your audience is going to be. The more broad of a topic that you're doing, the bigger your audience is going to be. If you have something that you're good at, why not branch that out into other topics that are closely related and things that you're doing? Because like right now, when I do something to the house and I don't document that and make it content for people, I feel like I'm wasting an opportunity.
Yeah.
Same here.
And Ben knows better than anybody at this point how many times him and I have talked about it. I have struggled with that thought process behind in my head of, I'm not going to do this because I'm worried about what my audience is going to think, or am I going to damage this? And am I going to damage that? And at the end of the day, no matter what I do, no one is ever like, I haven't released a YouTube video in almost a month. Do you think one person has written to me and said, hey man, I've been waiting every Friday night.
I'm about to unsubscribe, buddy.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. Nobody, never, no one.
Yeah.
So it's all self-imposed.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think the biggest part of that is that while I was in the military, this was never about money for me, because I don't really need this revenue stream. It's obviously it's nice, but, and granted, I'm going to get military retirement and everything, but when this is all over, like this is going to be my job. Why would I not leverage that to the best of my ability and just and not do anything extra? Just show everybody else the things I'm already doing. Because at the end of the day, if Erik Curtis is a subscriber and he loves the woodworking content that I do, and then I post a video about, tiling backsplash in the kitchen remodel series that I'm doing, and he's like, this isn't woodworking, bye. Who cares? You know what I mean?
Exactly it. And I guarantee you, the vast majority of your audience, while they are there because you are a really good woodworker and they want to learn your techniques and how you do things, they are there because they're interested in you as a human being, right?
Exactly.
So if you are retiling your kitchen, retiling your bathroom, relaying whatever it is,
exactly.
they're like, cool, let's find out what's happening in Jason's life.
You know what's funny? So like I gave up on Instagram a long time ago. I still post on there, for fun periodically from time to time, but it ain't the grind like it used to be back in the days. But I still really like doing stories. It's a much smaller group of people, but there's a group of people that watch every story that I put out there. And I alluded to it earlier, like people have been writing me saying like, hey, what's going on? I haven't seen any stories. I like that. But sometimes I'll be talking about things. The most recent example is when I was doing the walkthrough of my new house. I even said it, I'm like, I know most people probably don't care. The amount of messages that I got from people that are like, no, we care. I care. I don't care what you post about. I just like seeing your stories. It's exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. If they don't like it, they can
the Truman Show. It's the Truman Show.
I've gotten, because I'm working in a community shop space now, it feels quite douchey, like around a bunch of other people who are working to be like, hey guys, check out what I'm, you know what I mean? Like, a hard look. So I've been doing a lot of stories, just documenting the process and not like putting my face on camera. And I get messages regularly from folks who are like, what happened to you talking to the camera? Like, I miss the narration. I miss like your personality. I miss you being a part of the story. And I'm like, I appreciate that, but I'm also not going to be that guy who's like, look at me, everybody.
Yeah, but those, they could become characters in your daily show.
Yeah.
The sketch show.
This is Bill. He's an asshole.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
This guy.
Dream horse.
All right.
But Ben, I do want to say, and I know we're going to wrap up. Well, two things I want to say. First, you're right about content creation in videography. being another kind of language. Like it is a storytelling process.
Yeah.
And that is, that's been an artistic outlet that I have found really intriguing over the last 4 years as I've been making content. It's interesting to be able to take something so ridiculously simple, like whatever it is, cutting a dado, cutting a mortise and tenon, and turn that into a series of videos of how an object evolves from rough lumber to final product.
Yeah.
And I think going back to Sedge's question, I think that informs new clients as to the process that I undergo, and that to sell a little bit easier. So it's been an overall very positive thing for me. But I would be remiss if I left out the greatest DM slide of all time, going back to terrible comments. It was a couple of years ago, and I just want to hit this because I don't get to tell this story often enough. It was a random DM from this random girl, don't know, and the opening sentence, it was like a 3-text DM situation.
Oh man,
it
was thick. It was thick
with 3 C's. The opening sentence was, "I would let you put a baby in me."
I mean, hell, I'd let you put a baby.
Oh, I
in me.
I didn't know if you ever got those messages.
I went like
followed by haha JK, I think you're cute, followed by haha let's wind it back, my name is Steph, how are you? And I was like, you like the I don't
there's so many levels of
like, you slid in but you went backwards. I don't know how that happens. It was whiplash, and I was very concerned she might have been outside my window.
For some reason, I feel like I remember this story. I feel like it was right because you and I met for the first time at Stevie's shop or Stevie's house.
Oh yeah, it might have been around.
And I think it was right around that time because I feel like I remember you sharing that, and I was like, "What the?"
It's I mean, the greatest DM slide of all time. I have not tried that myself on a lady.
I've done it many times. Yeah, 5% success rate.
Well,
I'm married to her.
Did you get her phone number?
I'm married to her.
No. I promptly deleted that because I don't need any STDs.
Oh my God.
Or babies for that matter.
Or babies.
Hey, Ben, real quick, can we allude to it all next month's giveaway in the following month?
No, because nothing's set
Not
in
yet?
stone yet. So, yeah, I don't want to mention it yet until we
We'll
have
hold off. We got some stuff
plans
in the
locked
works,
in.
people.
Yeah, for the next month's giveaway. But, ladies and gentlemen, we just wanted to thank Erik for taking his time to come onto the podcast.
Yes, thank you.
It's been something in the motions. We talked about it back at WorkBenchCon, so I'm glad that we finally got him on, and I certainly hope that we can have him back on again in the future. It was very insightful, and it was the only way that we could introduce Jason into maybe thinking about doing curves in any of his work. Even if he just took a Sharpie and drew a curve, that's something.
I'll tell you, you're that couch table that would encourage me to do curves, because that's a good use of curves, not the way Patrick uses curves.
Do it, man. It's a slippery slope. Once you do it, it's hard to back out. But I believe in you, buddy.
All right.
All right,
I'm gonna
Erik,
make something.
Where can if anybody wanted to check out you and your stuff, where can they find you at?
EN Curtis. That's across all platforms: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. My website's encurtis.com. You guys, check me out and send me some positive comments on. No negative feedback.
Yeah.
Very sensitive soul. I can't handle criticism. That's where you can find me.
Erik, keep doing the good work, bro.
Yeah, man, it's
Keep doing the good work.
It's so refreshing to see your page and to see the amount of detail and intentionality that you put in behind your work. I mean, I remember at WorkBenchCon, we're just kind of riffing for an hour or two just about art and how it comes out in woodworking and how it's a creative expression. And I think what you do is really great, man. And I think that, more people should do work that you do. So we definitely appreciate it. Jason, where can we find you?
vincewoodworking.com.
Sedgley, where can we find you?
sedgetool.com, Sedge Tool on all platforms, and also Festool Sedge, Festool Live, Festool Shop Talk. I'm on Festool USA, baby.
Just he's on Festool. Just go
He's
everywhere.
basically the Beyonce of social media.
Whatever.
And you can find me at Marshall Designs on YouTube and Instagram and marshalldesignworks.com. Thank you so much for all of your listening times, I guess. I don't know. This was episode 33, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. We're in our 30s now. Thank you so much for listening.
33.
And we'll see you in,
Scottie Pippen.
we'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.